Welcome, guys, to How the Frack We Got Here, a show that takes the news and events of the week and try to make sense out of it all. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan, and on this show, we simply are all about the facts. There are plenty of news stations out there that simply want to do anything short but inform you. Here at How the Frack We Got Here, that's all we believe in. We go up to the left, we go up to the right, we go up to the middle of independence, we go after all sides because there's more than one side of a story to everything. And you need to know it all in order to actually to actually formulate your own opinion. And that's what we try to do here at How the Frack We Got Here. Thanks for listening, and hold on, it's gonna be fun.
All right, guys. Today's date, October the 12th, 2022, and this is How the Frack We Got Here. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan on the Frack We Got Here. We do take the events of the week and try to make sense of it all. Before we get started, guys, let you know that even though we are a news podcast, we do try to watch our language some of the time, but hey, words do fly. At the same time, guys, there may be things that might be shown today that might be a little too graphic for young viewers, so viewer discretion is advised. Aside from that, welcome. So let's go ahead and get into it. What do we have on this wonderful hump day? Well, you guys have already been knowing about Biden, the fact that he is trying to move forward with his promise of removing anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 of student loan debt. You guys have already heard that, yes, there is a little bit of a problem because Republicans do not like the fact of actual people who aren't rich are getting assistance. Why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up just basically because a news article that has been pushed forward that, of course, six Republican-led states are actually filing a lawsuit, and a district judge very soon will be making a decision on whether or not to temporarily block President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness plan from taking effect after an injunction that was just put in just today. Now, I find it amazing because I've already sat there and said before and reported about this last time that, again, when it comes to Republicans, why are we surprised at the lengths that they'll go? Reason being for one of these lawsuits being filed is because Republicans are fighting on behalf of private banks. Some private banks do own these student loans. And the absolute reason why they're fighting this, and this is just one of the lawsuits, by the way, is just that if this plan goes through, private banks cannot collect on interest payments. Now, usually it's amazing to me that somehow this got actually through. But again, this is going to be argued that Joe Biden does not have the ability to actually forgive student loans. Of course, this has been debunked. President Biden can actually do so. He can actually do a lot of things like decriminalize marijuana as an executive order if he chose to. But again, it's amazing to me that that is still tying up a lot of things in Congress. And I have sat there and said many times on this podcast, that the simple fact of the matter that if this does go through, this will help. Now, granted, it should go a little bit, it should go a lot farther. I mean, for simple fact of the matter, guys, we spent trillions of dollars on the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, almost close to 8 trillion. The total student loan, let's try it again. The total amount currently of student loan debt is 1.75 trillion. So if we can deal with a war that gave us 7 to 8 trillion dollars in debt, we alone should be able to forgive student loan debt. If we can send $1 billion to Ukraine, a million to Puerto Rico, and things of that nature, we should at this point be able to take care of student loan debt. Again, if student loan debt was removed, for the simple fact of the matter, it would elevate the credit profiles of millions of Americans and actually would increase spending, would help our economy. But again, this is why I say Republican parties, the GOP party, is not for anybody except corporations and rich people. I cannot stress this enough. That's exactly how they are. But with that injunction in place, speaking of with that injunction in place, it does kind of gum up the works a little bit. But here's another thing that gums up the works. Because speaking of student loan debt, the Biden administration, Department of Education, put out a sample of what the actual form may look like. Now, as you see this, guys, this is what the form could possibly look like, as you can see right there. As far as, let's see if I can make that just a little bit bigger. There we go. So, as you can see right here, applying for student loan debt relief, of course, tells you exactly what it is, tells you who qualifies. Of course, if you make less than 125,000 individuals, less than 250,000 for families. And of course, that's the borrower information. And then you just revise and submit the agreement. Pretty straightforward, right? Here's the problem with this. And this is why I keep saying is the issue with these types of forms. that for the simple fact of the matter, guys, the Department of Education knows who has borrowed student loan debt. They know who owes. They know exactly everything there is to know, because again, if you put those payments on pause or forbearance, you know off the bat that eventually you will get that call, or eventually you're going to get that letter saying, hey, it's time to pay back your student loans. Here's my thing. You think at this point the student loan debt relief plan should really be automatic? Why instead of having plenty of people? Because trust me, once that form goes active, the federal student aid site is going to get crashed. It's going to crash because everybody's trying to get in, everybody's trying to do their student, everybody's trying to fill out the application. It is going to crash the site, and then you're gonna have a bigger problem. Or just a crazy thought, what you could do is have the Department of Education automatically go through the process. See, if you automatically go through the process of the student loan debt and just say, hey, you qualify, then at the same time, you do nothing except sit back and watch either $10,000 or $20,000 come off your debt. Now, again, if you have $10,000 or $20,000 that's coming off your debt, bravo, that is cool. I'm glad you're able to get that. Many people, it might help a little bit. As far as if you have $20,000, $40,000 student loan debt, cool. If you're like a lot of those in the medical profession that have probably into the six figures of student loan debt, it may help out a little bit. But let's be honest, even with the PSLF forgiveness loan, which only will apply to a certain percentage of people, there's still a lot of people out there that need help. But I still believe that this should be an automated process. I mean, the simple fact of the matter is the Department of Education does have the technological bandwidth to sit there and go, okay, let's automatically search for all those who qualify and immediately apply to them. Or, can sit there and send out an email or letter saying, hey, we saw that you qualify. Since you qualify, do you want to take this? Yes or no? And of course, if you don't get an answer, and of course you don't get an answer back in a lot amount of time, the default answer that will be accepted is no. Of course, if they do say yes, go from there. Imagine automation, the one thing that we all love but hate in call centers. Because if you've ever called anywhere, you went through an IVR system, and we all know how effing annoying it is. But why don't we use that automation actually in a positive side? Let's actually put it to work to where it actually helps people that are in these situations and actually bail them out without having to go through all this rigmarole, hoop jumping, just to hope that you can get $10,000 to $20,000 knocked off. Why is it that we are still having to? I mean, why are we not making automation work for us in that aspect? That's the point I'm making out of all this. Now, I could go into a rant that Biden, kind of took the easy win and sat there and said, well, I'm not going to make you pay for all your, I'm not going to wipe your entire student loan debt, just 10 to 10,000, 20,000, because, he's a moderate president who still believes that with wages that are stuck back in 2009, that you can pay off any student loan debt. That's kind of BS is what it is. But for the simple fact of the matter, like I said, it's not a win. It's not a be all end all. It is a step forward. That's the way I look at it. But again, please keep in mind on the federal student aid site, they actually have a notification there. So if you want to be notified when the form goes live, again, federalstudentaid.gov, sign up for notifications. Please be aware, and like I said before, once that form goes live, it is going to get your form in really as soon as possible, because that site's going to get bombarded once everybody starts doing their forms. But again, we could just forgive the whole thing and let that be the end of it. You think we should be able to do that, but I digress. But moving right along, guys, I did want to cover this story because, again, this was a story that we did cover last week about a police officer in San Antonio that murdered a 17-year-old for simply being in his car. Well, we actually got some news about that. But first, I actually want to play back the video of that night. And I do have to give a warning on this. This is very graphic.
A Texas DA has identified the San Antonio police officer who was fired from his job for shooting a 17-year-old boy who had been eating a meal in a McDonald's parking lot in his car last week. The teen was critically injured. We do want to warn our viewers, this video of this shooting is graphic.
Get out of the car.
What?
Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired!
CNN's Josh Campbell is joining us live from Los Angeles on this. Josh, what can you tell us about what's really just disturbing to watch here?
Incredibly disturbing, Brianna. And you ask any respected law enforcement leader in America, and they will tell you that the key attribute they look for in new recruits is judgment. And of course, it's the judgment of this now fired rookie San Antonio officer that has now come under scrutiny. We'll warn our viewers again that what you're about to see is graphic. It is disturbing. These are the mere seconds where an officer's decision to use deadly force resulted in a teen now fighting for his life.
Authorities say San Antonio police officer James Brennan was handling an unrelated disturbance call at a McDonald's last Sunday evening when he saw a car he believed evaded police the previous day.
Hey, can you start me one more? I got a vehicle over here that fled from me the other day.
17-year-old Eric Cantu was eating a meal in the parking lot. Body camera video released by police shows the officer walking up to the driver's side of the car, opening the door and ordering the startled driver out.
Get out of the car. Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired!
According to the body camera video, the teen had put the car into reverse before the officer fired 5 times. After the driver shifted the vehicle and moved forward, Brennan fired 5 more times. The San Antonio Police Department said the teen was found a block away, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. A passenger in the car was uninjured, police said. Eric Cantu was hospitalized in critical condition. His attorney told CNN the teen is literally fighting for his life every minute of the day, as his body has endured a tremendous amount of trauma. Meanwhile, the San Antonio Police Department announced it has fired Brennan for violating several department policies.
In this circumstance, the department terminated the probationary officer's employment due to his actions during this incident, which were in violation of departmental tactics, training, and procedures.
According to SAPD, the department's deadly force policy does allow police to fire if someone is using deadly force against the officer for self-defense. But the manual also says an officer in the path of an approaching vehicle shall attempt to move to a position of safety rather than discharging a firearm. And officers should not shoot at any part of a vehicle in an attempt to disable the vehicle. The SAPD said it is investigating the incident and will forward its findings to the Bexar County District Attorney. The District Attorney's Civil Rights Division is conducting a full review of the case, which it will then submit to a grand jury. Meanwhile, the DA has dismissed the charges of evading detention and assault on an officer against the teen, saying in a statement, "The facts and evidence we have received so far led us to reject the charges against Eric Cantu for further investigation." The county's online court record system shows Cantu's case has been closed.
Now, Brianna, police claim that that officer was struck as the teen reversed in that vehicle. We don't see that from the vantage point of the body camera that was on that officer's chest. And there's no other video of this evidence because although the officer called for backup, he didn't wait for additional officers before approaching that car. It's worth pointing out we have reached out to that officer as well as the San Antonio Police Union for comment on what happened, as well as this ongoing investigation. Of course, the DA says that the ultimate decision whether there will be charges brought against this officer will rest with the Bexar County grand jury.
So, for the simple fact of the matter is, guys, you are looking at that officer who, again, that officer was fresh out. What further news on that is that officer has only went through 7 months of training. Now, again, if you say, for instance, you are enjoying a meal in your car, somebody walks up and opens your car door and says, "Get out the car." Police or not, that's effing startling. Like, for example, officers, if they're doing their job, will knock on the window, get your attention first, announce themselves, and then you go from there. Nope, that officer decided to sit there, straight up. Hey, get out the car. Not while I'm eating my Big Mac. I don't know if you're a cop or not, because in this day and age, people have posed as law enforcement. People have posed as FBI and DEA agents, and they have, did XYZ to people. So I don't blame that teenager for how he reacted, because again, you open my car door telling me to get out, simply put, because a crime had happened there previously, and you think I had something to do with it just because my car fits the description? That's messed up in so many ways. So yes, that's the reason why the police union, that's the reason why um the training the training department for that law enforcement is moot quiet right now, because they're going to ask this. Because again, I would ask the question, because I've been on law enforcement since Jump Street. I ask this question all the time. I say it all the time, especially here in Tennessee, that in Tennessee, specifically Middle Tennessee, you train longer to be a plumber, a hairstylist, a nail technician. Those three professions alone, you train longer in than you do as a police officer. You can actually train at the academy here in Nashville, Tennessee. And if for any cop that's watching this, please tell me I'm wrong, because I'm pretty sure I'm right. In less than 6 months, you are now protecting and serving out there in the streets. Because honestly, there's no reason why that officer did what he did. He failed to identify. He discharged his weapon, and of course, they're going to sit there and say, "Well, he struck him with the car. He was in the way." But what do you expect when you're sitting there enjoying food? Someone opens the door and tells you to get out. You're startled. You're panicked. Your fight or flight response is kicked in. And again, instead of him identifying himself as a police officer, he turned around and he could have possibly, as this young man is fighting for his life in the hospital, could have possibly murdered him, all because he failed to do his job. And so, yes, fired is one thing. But as I said before, I can't say this was me. Killer Mike said this. I said, you want to stop accidental police shootings? Easy. You know, I don't really think they're accidental. But here's how you stop police shootings. That police pension, use that money from that police pension to pay for the victims' families. Pay that to the victims' families. I guarantee if the police pension was used to pay toward the victims' families, there'd be less shootings. I guarantee it. Why? Because once you start messing with the church's money, watch how quickly everything turns around. But speaking of things turning around, as we switch gears for a second, Amazon. We know it, we love it. Some of us, we depend on it. It's like the new Walmart. Amazon took over, and now if we wanted things within a matter of days, we have to go through them. That being said, you guys do remember that Amazon does have a few unionized places. One specifically in New York. Well, there's about to be another one. In a recent story that at an Amazon facility near Albany, New York, will begin voting on whether or not they want to join the American Labor Union and become the second Amazon warehouse in the United States. The vote is actually scheduled for October 18th. Now, of course, Amazon, who is known for union busting, they don't say it, but they are known for union busting. They are known for sending in corporate. They are known for utilizing think tanks and public relations boards, because they will do their hardest to make sure that another unionized location does not happen. Why? Corporations hate unions. They'll sit there and say unions will do nothing for you except take your money and take your money and call them dues. Take that money that you pay dues to a union, knock it up every year, and you get nothing out of it. That's what corporations tell you, because they would rather deal with you as an individual instead of dealing with you all as collective groups. We have seen it, guys. You've seen it with Kellogg's, John Deere, teachers unions, and that's just this year. You guys don't remember. I mean, for all those that don't remember, Kellogg's and John Deere had union strikes, and they tried to replace them with workers, and they had more accidents in 2 weeks than the last time they had them in 20 years. Teachers unions, one in Ohio, one in Seattle, at the beginning of the school year, they also went on strike. Why? Because they weren't getting paid. Pay was the big thing. Eventually that got settled, and those strikes were over. That's the reason why corporations hate unions, because if you don't give these unionized people what they want, they will strike. And trust me, it will be felt along the supply chain. You almost had that with the railway workers in California. They almost went on strike. And if that happened, everything would come to a grinding halt. And yet somehow they were able to get that fixed. The point I'm making, that it's a great thing that if Amazon does face unionization, because you guys have heard the horror stories working in Amazon, fighting this algorithm that says you have to pack this, box this, take your lunches here, take your pee breaks, or if you do get pee breaks. And you guys have heard about the Amazon drivers, which I feel for Amazon drivers. Yes, you get benefits from day one. You may get the highest pay within that specific job rating in your state. But for Amazon drivers who have to again get all these packages delivered in a certain amount, oh, forget bathroom breaks. They've always said the stories. You have to literally pee while in the van just because you cannot stop to relieve yourself. Those are horrible working conditions. Whether you're in the plant or a driver. But just imagine if you had a union backing you up, Amazon would have to come to heel. And again, there's nothing wrong with unions. I always said it best. If there is a union where you work, join it. If you don't have a union there, you can always feel free to talk about it. There is nothing illegal. And if you ever get told that it is, report them to the Department of Labor. Report whoever does that, whether it's your boss or your job. Report them to the Department of Labor, because it is highly illegal for them to stop you if you guys are talking about a union, because they'll slick around. That's the thing about it. A lot of people are scared because of retaliation. I mean, I'll say it best. I used to work for Dell. Michael Dell was notorious for that. If you talked about unions at any of his locations, there was always the fear that if it got back to him, he would shut that location down and move everything in somewhere else. That was the fear. Never really happened, but again, that's the fear. As workers, you do fear retaliation. That being said, a lot of people try to avoid union talk. But again, I will say it once. I will keep saying it for as long as I have breath in my body. Unions matter because you get the best pay, you get the best benefits, you actually get people who are looking out for you, because please do not trust corporations, because corporations will hire you and fire you in the same breath, but still wish you best endeavors. Just saying, no such thing as corporate loyalty. But we'll check back on that on the 18th to see how that vote goes. Meanwhile, after Hurricane Ian, the January 6th Commission is resuming its hearing. But they do promise that this hearing, although it will be the last of the January 6th Commission January 6th hearings, that we are bound to see some new things. It kind of feels like a soap opera at this point.
Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol is set to hold its final hearing tomorrow after postponing it due to Hurricane Ian. Committee members teased substantial footage and significant witness testimony, saying it would be more sweeping than past hearings and will tell the story about a key element of former President Trump's plot to overturn the 2020 election. ABC News investigative producer Catherine Falter is joining me now live, along with ABC News contributor and former federal prosecutor Con Nowadaye for more. So, Catherine, let's start with you. The committee has interviewed more witnesses since their last hearings, including Ginny Thomas, that conservative activist, also wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Let's talk about how she fits into this investigation.
Yeah, so Ginny Thomas was significant because she was exchanging text messages with the former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. Emails have also been revealed of Ginny Thomas communicating with state officials in various different states to get them to overturn the election. Now, it's interesting because we are likely to not see Ginny Thomas on video tomorrow during the hearing. Her interview with the committee was not video recorded, so the committee investigators can use quotes from that, for example. So we might hear more about her role there. Her lawyer says she answered all the committee's questions, but members of the committee who I've spoken to said that she still made clear, Kira, that she believes that the 2020 election was stolen. And she said that during her interview.
So, Con, how concerning is it for the wife of a Supreme Court justice to be lobbying the White House chief of staff to challenge the results of an election?
It's very concerning, merely from the fact that of who her husband is, and that her husband may potentially at some point have to rule on matters relating to election processes. So, I mean, as a matter of fact, there is an appeal pending before Justice Thomas relating to the Mar-a-Lago search, where former President Trump is asking the Supreme Court to intervene in the 11th Circuit's decision in that case. So it is concerning.
So then, Con, if any case stemming from this investigation find its way to the Supreme Court, should Clarence Thomas just recuse himself?
I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but you can't help but think that there is an appearance of a conflict. So it is disturbing, something that he should consider as a justice of the Supreme Court. And frankly, even though this appeal is before him right now, my bet is in all likelihood, it'll get referred to the entire Supreme Court.
So, Catherine, why hold this hearing now with the midterms just under a month away? I mean, could the committee be planning an October surprise here?
Well, look, I think there's definitely the political element of this in the back of their minds as they've been scheduling this. Of course, it was delayed, as you mentioned, due to the hurricane. But look, there's still questions, Kira, that we're waiting on answers to. One of those being whether the committee, for example, issues a subpoena to former President Trump, whether they invite him to come publicly to an open hearing. That's still something that we're waiting on as well. And look, this isn't the last thing that we're going to see. There's also likely going to be a report that this committee issues that they've been writing. When that comes out is still to be determined. One of the members of the committee said we probably won't see that until November. So really right up until the midterms.
So I'm just at this point trying to understand that, yes, they know what they're doing, guys. Don't get me wrong. The January 6th Commission has done exceptional work. They have sat there and pointed out that, yes, it is beyond the shadow of a doubt that Trump, being the failure in chief, did incite a riot, did have domestic terrorism to attack the Capitol, the electoral vote count. Many arrests have been made. Prison sentences have been handed out. At this point, guys, it's beyond the shadow of a doubt. Now, you're probably asking yourselves, why are they doing it? Well, as they said, next month is the midterms. Next month, I feel like they're going to keep doing this to remind the American people that, hey, the GOP and everybody that backed up Trump, they're the ones behind all this. The ones that were sitting there saying the election was stolen, like the wife of that raccoon, Clarence Thomas. Yeah, him. Imagine you're the wife of a Supreme Court justice, but it's not being brushed off because she still believes the election was stolen, even though this election was the safest election in human history. But I digress. But that is the reason why I keep saying the entire time, yes, they're going to use this to remind the American people that come the midterms, do you really want these people back in power, like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lori Bobbitt? I mean, or worse, Ted Cruz? Do you really want those fools back in? Especially changing the rules, because when they were in initially and they had the power, it wasn't good unless you were a rich person or corporate. That's all I'm saying. But yes, they are doing this for the reason because I think that a case against the failure in chief is coming, and I think they want it to be airtight, not just as airtight as they're going over documents that he took from the White House that he thought he could declassify, but apparently nobody in his cabinet ever read the Constitution. So he's already facing multiple lawsuits. But I do believe that they are building up a case to where the Attorney General may actually charge Trump, if not with the Espionage Act, very, very close to it. But we'll follow that as it comes along. But the next story, guys, actually comes out from Los Angeles because the simple fact of the matter is there is 3 people on the Los Angeles Council that on the Los Angeles Council, including the president, who had something to say about an interracial parent. And yeah, it's kind of disturbing and highly graphic.
All the, folks like with Ascon, he did call me. He wants to have breakfast with me.
What's taking him so long?
I just said, hey, we need to talk.
You supported him from the...
All right, don't worry, I got you.
Yeah.
So you'll start seeing him line up. Isaac was the first.
Oh, that's not all. We got more.
Whatever the kid's name is, I'm like, it's like the oddest thing. It's like black and brown on this float. And then there's this white guy with this little black kid who's misbehaved. Este niño has they're not doing, the kid is bouncing off the effing walls on the float, practically tipping it over. There's nothing you can do to control him. Parece changuito. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Oh, don't worry. We got more.
They're raising him like a little white kid, which I was like, this kid needs a beat down. Like, let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back.
Yeah.
¿Sí me entiendes? Ven para acá.
It's a pinch.
Yeah.
But yes, he's the fourth.
So anyways, getting back to redistricting.
Yeah.
Now, crazy, isn't it? That was actually a conversation which somehow got out. It was a lead conversation between 3 council people. And I wonder how their constituents felt about it.
anger over what was said by 3 Los Angeles City Council members, including the now former council president, on that released audio recording, spilled over into the council chamber Tuesday. Made worse, according to attendees and other council members, that Gil Cedillo, Nuri Martinez, and Kevin DeLeon haven't resigned.
I'm very embarrassed to see my representatives to act the way they did.
That language, unacceptable. The anti-Blackness, unacceptable.
I want the immediate resignation of each one of them.
At one point, Cedillo and DeLeon took their seats in the council chamber, but the public in attendance would not come to order, even though Councilman Mitch O'Farrell tried. Things got louder, tense, and minutes later, Cedillo and DeLeon left the room not to be seen again. Bringing the council chamber under control, an emotional speech from Councilmember Mike Bonin, whose family has found themselves at the center of this scandal, but not because they did anything, rather because of the racist remarks said about their young Black son.
We need to be a city that doesn't just issue a statement of indignation over something like this, but does the work to make sure that no little Black boy, no young Latina, no kid anywhere hears this, and that no community feels disenfranchised and disempowered.
Not at the meeting, Nuri Martinez, who issued another statement saying, "This has been one of the most difficult times of my life, and I recognize this is entirely of my own making. At this moment, I need to take a leave of absence and take some time to have an honest and heartfelt conversation with my family, my constituents, and community leaders." The council members in attendance agreed all 3 must resign in order for the city to heal.
The court of public opinion has rendered a verdict, and the verdict is they all must resign.
This is not reflective of who our community is, of the hardworking people who have sacrificed, who have struggled to make it in this country, to afford us the very privileges that we are all afforded today.
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I look at that, I'm like, so 3 of your council people, one being the president, decided to talk about another council person's family and, call the boy a little monkey. And her response, is, let me go home and speak with my family, my constituents, and my community leaders. What for? You fucked up. You are there is no, I'm sorry. There is no answer. There's no answer when you're honest. There's no wishing it away. There's no, I need to go back and realize the ramifications of my words. No, you were being honest. And again, you don't need to be on the council. If you can't sit there and look at people and be like, I wish I could have whooped that little monkey because he was just acting so bad. And you sit there and you say, one of your council people, well, F that guy. He's with the Blacks. That's your honest assessment. Now, should you be in office? Absolutely not. The simple fact of the matter is that, yes, eventually they all are going to resign. But it's amazing to me where every Black person came forward and said, no, we want you gone. Why? Because you're part of the council. You're supposed to represent your constituents. You don't sit there and, above all else, not only talk about another council person, but talk about their family too. I'm gonna be honest with you. That guy who was talking, so he was trying to bring calm and stuff about it. I'm sorry. You talk about my child, I'm liable to say some stuff that is going to involve a lot of 7-second delays, because you ain't gonna talk about my child like I got issues. But again, speaking from a council standpoint, that mindset right there, I said, we just can't say it's not just male people. We can't just say it's not white people that think like this. But now you have others coming out. And yes, if you think like this, you should not be in office. It's just that simple. But eventually, they will actually get resigned. But another news, guys. Do you like gas prices right now? Gas prices and you going to fill up your car? Yeah. About that.
The Saudi announcement a blow to American consumers and a gut punch to President Biden. despite his fist bump summit with the Saudi crown prince, when the administration thought they could get a deal to keep production up and prices low before the midterms.
I was able to bring gasoline down well over $1.60, but it's inching up because of what the Russians and the Saudis just did.
Now even Democrats blasting that Riyadh summit and calling for the U.S. to withdraw troops from Saudi Arabia. You would punish Saudi Arabia.
I would reconsider why we provide for the security of a country that seems to have no concern for the security of ours and our allies.
That's because raising oil prices produces more oil profits for Vladimir Putin's war machine. The White House now scrambling to bring prices down. One option, release more oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, but it's dangerously low. The president has already released more than 200 million barrels this year. Another possibility, lift sanctions on Venezuela so it can pump more oil. But that country's strongman, Nicolas Maduro, has still not delivered on democratic reforms or pressure U.S. oil companies to keep prices down. Is any of this going to work?
They've sort of run out of bullets. U.S. producers won't listen to them. The Saudis won't listen to them again. It really is, at its core, a supply issue. He has to find somebody who's going to pump more, and nobody wants to do that right now.
The problem for the White House, most of the solutions are long-term, which won't help them for the midterm.
So yeah, in the war for the dinosaur juice, Saudi Arabia, as they said before, why are we giving U.S. aid and military to Saudi Arabia? Well, that's easy. They're the number 2 producer of oil in the world. Now, I know a lot of people are wondering, who's number 1? We are, the U.S. The U.S. is the number 1 producer of oil. Saudi Arabia, number 2. Russia, number 3. Now do you see the relevance? Russia is a part of a organization called OPEC, which again is basically is a European coalition of countries who do pump oil, who set the prices of barrels of crude oil. For all those that believe that President Biden somehow controls gas prices, no, OPEC does. And your local oil companies here, Exxon, Citgo, BP, they control. They buy the crude oil from not only from overseas, but also from their own welling drills here, and they set the prices. That's the problem. The Saudi family, next to Iraq, sits on the largest deposit of oil ever known in the known world. So, of course, that is their cash cow. They know that as long as they're shipping out to us, because, yes, the U.S. may be the largest producer of oil, but that region over there circumvents to just not us. So, with Biden went out there a week ago, was it a week ago? No, 2 weeks ago. Biden went out there 2 weeks ago to try to sell things over with the Saudis and say, hey, we need you guys to keep producing more, just because the fact of the matter is that we are facing a finite issue. What the finite issue is that we are eventually going to have an energy conversation, that we cannot sustain ourselves, probably not over the next 50 years, on fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are finite. Again, with electric cars coming out, which some have been out with Tesla, Nissan Leaf, and other ones, including Ford's Mustang and its Lightning F-150, the prices are still high. So again, electric cars are probably going to wind up being the next wave of the future. California has already sat there and said that they will phase out gasoline-driven cars by 2035. So it is eventually going to come to a head where we have to have that conversation. But that being said, Russia is still at war with Ukraine. Ukraine is hoping to God that their NATO application can be put through. Reason being, because if they are officially a part of NATO, then because U.S. is a part of NATO, we will officially be at war with Russia. Russia, sitting on the number 3 producer of oil, can produce all the oil it wants because it knows it can sell to China and Japan with no issue. Again, when it all comes down to it, it's profit. That's all it is. So the Saudis, who have plenty of money, know that if the U.S. doesn't want their oil, they have plenty of other people they can go to. Yes, we can go to Venezuela, but Venezuela right now is basically under martial law, just because most reforms haven't happened there. So really, this is just one big ass perfect storm to where, yes, your prices at the pump will go up. They will. And I hate to say it in this day and age, but they will until we actually get solutions, which a lot of people say with the strategic oil reserve, which again is low because we've been pulling and pulling and pulling from it, almost to the point to where we have to kind of, hold up because in things of emergencies, because nobody wants to pay $4 to $5 to $6. Even at one point, gas was $8 a gallon in some areas. Nobody wants to pay that. So what's the alternative? Do we drill more? Do we let up off our restrictions off wildlife in North Arctic areas? Because that's what the GOP wants. The GOP wants to drill more. The GOP's answer to all this is, hey, why don't we drill more here in the U.S. and just, F our environment? That's what they're pretty much saying. But again, Joe's going to have a hard time with this one because the Saudis aren't going to play ball. Don't expect any help from Putin. And at the same time, Venezuela is still a question mark. Hello, midterms. That's all I can say. Moving right along, guys. Again, I never thought I'd say to myself, well, I've said this to myself plenty of times. Why is it that when the government is finally going to help Black people, there's always one white person that's got to ruin it for everybody? And yes, I can't make this up.
Example of something that really bothers me. In this bill, if you're a farmer, your loan will be forgiven up to 120% of your loan, not 100%, but 120% of your loan if you're socially disadvantaged, if you're African American, some other minority. But if you're white person, if you're a white woman, no forgiveness as reparations. What does that got to do with COVID?
Maybe Homeboy should worry about that subpoena down in Georgia instead of what farmers get. But as you heard, in 2021, Senator Lindsey Graham had the temerity to object to a small portion of the COVID relief bill that would provide a $4 billion fund for disadvantaged farmers, about a quarter of whom happen to be Black. Now, for clarity, the Department of Agriculture says 97% of the $9.2 billion from Trump's coronavirus food assistance program went to white farmers. That's according to a report by the EWG. So these payments would be just a drop in the bucket in what's needed to rectify decades of broken promises and discrimination from the USDA that caused Black farmers to lose roughly 90% of their land between 1910 and today. Now, a little over a year later, and the debt relief program has stalled. Why? Because they're meeting resistance from banks and white farmers, leaving these farmers deeper in debt as they deal with soaring costs for supplies like fuel and fertilizer. I swear to God, it's exhausting. Joining me now, John Boyd Jr., founder of the National Black Farmers Association, and Dania Davy, I hope I didn't mess up your name, Director of Land Retention and Advocacy at the Federation of Southern Cooperatives and Land Assistance Fund. So happy to have both of you. John, I want to start with you, looking so handsome in your cowboy hat this morning. Tell us what you have lost so far and what you are at risk of losing as long as this relief fund is mired in this resistance from white farmers and the banks.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And as I said on your show earlier, when Senator Lindsey Graham made those comments, he should be ashamed of himself because I've been lobbying him for years about the plight of the Black farmers. We've lost millions of acres of land. We've lost our way of living, our livelihood. And the COVID relief spending bill that provided the $5 billion in debt relief, $1 billion for outreach and technical assistance, and the other $4 billion for debt relief was a 30-year-old ask from myself and others. Even as I was promised debt relief and a settlement agreement, I still didn't get it after the Secretary of Agriculture told the local and county office to provide me with debt relief. I want to let the audience know it was white farmers who got basically all of the debt relief for the 30 years I was asking Congress and the courts to provide debt relief to Black farmers. White farmers got debt relief in this country with ease, and Black farmers like myself were denied the time and time again to get debt relief in this country. The stack has been stacked against us. We've been facing discrimination. As you noted, the banks who've been bailed out in this country were one of the very first to speak out against Black farmers getting debt relief in this country. So the government has failed us, the banks have failed us, and it's almost like 40 acres and a mule. When we were promised these things. And every time there's a pot of money that's supposed to go to Black farmers or Black people in this country, we're told we have to wait. Last July at the White House, I was promised a meeting by President Biden. That hasn't happened. Since that time, we provided $50 billion in aid to Ukraine and other regions of the country, but we can't find a way to get the debt relief to Blacks and other farmers of color in a timely manner.
That is heartbreaking, Mr. Boyd, and you deserve so much better. Dania, I do want to bring you in here because listening to Mr. Boyd talk about what he's gone through, I think it's important for the country to understand what Black sharecroppers did in this country, even before they were sharecroppers, the forced labor, the cotton that this country, the wealth from the cotton that this country benefited from, the sugar cane. Black folks did all that. That is how this country became a superpower. So today, for men like Mr. Boyd to be at risk of losing everything he's built has to be god awful and infuriating. What needs to happen, Dania? How do we fix this? Because we can't depend on the government, but how can we apply pressure to the government to do what is right and do what is owed to these Black farmers who help put food on their very table?
Thank you so much for having me, Tiffany. It's wonderful to be here. As you may know, the Federation of Southern Cooperatives Land Assistance Fund has been assisting Black farmers, landowners, and cooperatives for 55 years. We were really born at the intersection of the Black cooperative development. What really needs to occur is for to listen to the advocates like myself, Mr. Boyd, and others that have been expressing the ways in which the debt relief being held up is exacerbating an already existing wealth disparity. We've seen estimates of over $300 billion worth of wealth, and that's only if we count the land loss. That's not the exploitation of labor. That's not the exploitation of a way of life, of the meaningful relationships and connections between one generation passing on farming to the next. And I think that because of the wealth gap that this continued land loss is creating in our community, there definitely needs to be a holistic solution. We really can't look at it as an issue that the farmers need to deal with individually as groups. This is really an institutional problem that needs institutional solutions. And so organizations like the Federation have presented many solutions because our members, they're Black farmers themselves, our state coordinators, Mr. Ben Burkett, Mr. Cornelius Key, they're farmers, they work with the Federation. We've made suggestions over the decades, and the government really just needs to take our suggestions seriously because this is going to result in the next wave of Black land loss.
Absolutely. And if you're even a modest student of history, you know these things are very intentional. It is intentional to strangle the life out of us, however you do it, either physically or even through wealth. And that has to stop, Mr. Boyd. So if you can, Mr. Boyd, if someone from the administration, let's say President Biden, is watching this program right now, what is your message to this administration and the sense of urgency that Black farmers are dealing with? Please go ahead.
Absolutely. We're in a farm crisis, America. We're in a food shortage, America, and that includes Black farmers as well. We're facing all-time highs in the cost of diesel fuel, $6 a gallon for diesel fuel. Last year, I was paying $400 a ton for fertilizer. I'm now paying $1,100 and $1,200 a ton. The urgency of now is what the president should hear. Yes, his plate is full, but you can't ignore the oldest occupation in the history for Black people, which is farming. The National Black Farmers Association has been fighting for decades through court remedies and through act of Congress. I wore so many pair of shoes asking members of Congress to help us fix this. We can bail out the banks. We can bail out corporate America, the airlines, all of these people. But we can't help the oldest occupation in history, where we came to this country as slaves, sharecroppers, survived the horrific laws of Jim Crow. And we're still here. We're still here fighting. And for the people that are watching this, I want them to know today that I'm going to die a farmer. Whether the government does it, we're just about ready to give up on the government doing the right thing for Black farmers. And it's time for the general public to assist to save the Black farmer. They can help support the National Black Farmers Association. And for corporate America, we're receiving a deaf ear and a blind eye, from people like Walmart, who said 30% of the food is sold at their supermarkets, but they don't want to contract with Black farmers and invest in infrastructure for Black farmers. Companies like PepsiCo that talked us through for 2 years and then say, well, you know what, Boyd, we're going in a new direction. What direction? When all your farmers are white, We need contracts, we need infrastructure, and we need access to credit. And Mr. President, we need it now.
You indeed do, and you deserve it now. You've earned it now. I hope our viewers will look into the story of Elaine, Arkansas, with what happened there with farmers. And in 1933, the New Deal had an old problem, which was racism, which displaced tons of farmers in this country, Black farmers in this country. So this is rooted in history, Mr. Boyd. And just thank you for sharing your testimony. And I certainly.
And again, there's nothing more I can add to that. There's nothing more I can add to that because, number one, historically, yes, Black farmers. I wish I can go back to that screen where it showed at one point there was close to almost 300,000 plus farmers in the South. Now less than 95,000 now. And I know a lot of people are saying, but Trump sided and bailed up the farmers twice. Yes, none of that. As Mr. Boyd had said so eloquently, yes, there were some funding that was done. It did not go to all. It didn't go as much to Black farmers as it did to white farmers. And again, this is all about infrastructure. This is all about, solving our food shortages, our food deserts, our crises. The reason why if you go to the grocery store now, how everything is up. Grapes is up. Fruits is up. Noodles are up, and noodles used to be the cheapest thing you can get at the store. Used to be, but it's all layered. That's the one thing I want to keep saying this whole entire time. All of this is layered. I even said on my Facebook post today, I said, honestly, 90% of our societal problems can be repaired overnight if we paid people a living wage. Imagine if you did give Black farmers the same bailout package that we gave banks, airlines, that we gave automobile companies. Remember the big three? The big three that went to Congress and bailed to get bailed out. That was almost 11 years ago. Banks went to get bailed out more than once. Wall Street went to go get bailed out more than once. So yes, in the plight of the Black farmer, it does make sense. It's like, why is it that for one of the oldest traditions, I mean, even coming from the South, Black farmers did, from their fruits as far as slavery, plantation, things of that nature. Yes, Black farmers can help, and definitely check them out as far as the Black Farmer Association of America, as far as if you want to help out or if you want to look more into it, because that is history in our roots. And I feel like that history is slowly eroding just because of the fact they're being choked out, systematically ignored, and put and being driven into non-existence. Let's just call it what it is. But speaking of calling what it is, Herschel Walker, I'm trying to say this as nicely as humanly I can, because I try not to down our people. I try not to down another Black person, although Herschel Walker is more of a raccoon than a Black person. But anyway, of course, with the Senate race coming up against him versus Raphael Warnock for a Senate race in Georgia, it's still somehow close. And of course, the GOP is still backing up Herschel Walker, even amidst his baby mama abortion scandal. And things are pretty bad when Tom Cotton and Rick Scott have to come back you up.
Georgia, Republican reinforcements arriving to bolster embattled Senate nominee Herschel Walker.
It's especially good to be here with the next United States Senator from Georgia, Herschel Walker.
Key Senators Tom Cotton and Rick Scott standing by the former football great as he faces an allegation that he paid for an abortion for an ex-girlfriend more than a decade ago, while now campaigning on his opposition to abortion rights. Walker has strongly denied the accusation, but today for the first time publicly acknowledged he now knows who the woman is. The senators tonight insist the controversy will not cost Walker the race.
Inflation, crime, parents not being involved in schools. That's what people are going to vote on.
Still, some state Republicans have criticized Walker. Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan writing, Walker has not yet earned my vote. He has 4 weeks left to change our minds. While overnight, another critical clash over Ohio.
So we're just going to stop right there because it goes into Ohio, where basically former VP candidate called a Trump person an ass kisser, which he said, I never kissed any ass. But anyway, back to Herschel Walker. Yes, he had Rick Scott and Tom Cotton come to back him up again as the midterms are happening next month, that they're coming out and saying, we're going to back up Herschel Walker. Yes, let's back up a man that said he graduated at the top of his class at the University of Georgia, and that was a lie. Let's also back up the man that sat there and said that he was a law enforcement agent, and then that was a lie. Let's also back up the man who swears up and down that he never paid for an abortion from a woman that was having his child, now remembers who the woman is. Keep in mind that his child came out on TikTok just a week ago and sat there and spilled all the tea about his father, including the fact that the family had asked him not to run because of everything that is coming out. I always say this about the GOP. The GOP calls themselves the GOP calls themselves the party of moral and family values. Now, look, I'm not saying nobody's perfect. I'm not throwing rocks at anybody else's house. But if you call yourself and you style yourself the party of family values, why are y'all always caught with a mistress, a maid, a love child, or all the above? Or the personal trifecta, you're caught with an LGBTQ plus member. That's the trifecta right there. But with all that being said, will this keep people from not voting for Herschel Walker? No, because when it comes to conservatives, they're idiots. Yes, I said it. Because conservatives, unless you are rich, unless you are white, unless you own a corporation, are the only reason I can see people voting for them. If you're not benefiting from this party, I don't see it. Unless you're Candace Owens or you're Herschel Walker or Jesse Lee Peterson or any one of those fine people that have no problem dying the black community as long as you get paid. Because trust me, Candace gets paid. Right along next with crazy ass Kanye. But the point I'm making all this is, aside from the crazy drama that Herschel Walker has found himself in, what has he talked about? Next to nothing. He talked about crime, but never gave his policies on what he would do. He talked about the border. Again, didn't talk about what he was going to do. He talked about the economy's going bad. Again, did not offer any suggestions. This is standard GOP, guys. They talk a lot, but no plans have been said. No alternatives have been offered. But just because you are bleeding red, some people, especially in the South, will vote for you. Don't believe me? I say it all the time on this podcast. I'm not Democrat. I'm damn sure not Republican. But if tomorrow I turned around and I started shouting Republican topics, I would be face to face with Tucker Carlson in less than 24 hours. Why? Because I'm exactly what those people think of when they think of nice black people. As long as I spout their talking points and their narratives to make them feel better about their bigotry and nearsightedness. That's all I'm saying. But again, I say this all the time. If you're going to vote, please vote. Whether it's Democrat or Republican, please vote. Get to know your candidates. You got less than a month. For Tennessee, I do know the fact that for Tennessee, your last day of registration was yesterday. So hopefully you guys registered. Please check vote.gov. I highly recommend this because, again, if you do not vote, you have nothing to complain about. If you do vote, then your voice has been heard. But definitely review the candidates. Challenge them, question them. Remember, they work for you. They should be able to basically answer any question that you have. If they cannot answer your question, why do they deserve your vote? But speaking of things that don't deserve your vote, we finally have something that I called a long time ago. Tulsi Gabbard is announcing she's leaving the Democratic Party. I don't know why she's a part of the Democratic Party anyway. She sounded more Republican than anything else. She says the party is now under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers driven by cowardly wokeness. I think she's talking about the GOP, honestly, because it's not wokeness. I mean, if anything, if we're being honest, President Biden did start with a progressive agenda when he first started. He wanted to increase the minimum wage. He wanted to get the Voting Rights Act passed. He wanted to get the George Floyd Police Reform Act passed. He wanted to get the John Lewis Act passed. Act passed. None of that fruition. He did have a Build Back America plan, which was actually watered down to a less plan that went out the window, and he barely got through his infrastructure bill. So, of course, a lot of that was progressive. But for Tulsi Gabbard to sit there and say warmongers when we are not in a war per se, we're more of a
superhero-sized surprise for a man who...
Not yet. We're more in front of a blinking contest with Russia right now, because again, Ukraine is still in the middle of it. But that being said, it's no surprise that politicians switch parties all the time. they go where it's profitable. And of course, if you're a Republican right now, it is more profitable than it is a Democrat. But as I wrap this up, guys, I keep saying this. I've said this for almost going on a year, going into the midterms next month. Democrats are going to have a hard time convincing voters to give them another term with a slim majority because not a lot got passed. Not a lot got passed. Whereas Republicans just have to convince idiots to vote for them again because apparently short-term amnesia runs in the family. So it's going to be an interesting midterm. But we're going to go ahead and move on to our feel-good story because usually, guys, on How the Frack got here, we usually cover a lot of things that are doom and gloom sometimes. Makes you lose your faith in humanity, but hey, it's Wednesday, it's hump day. Tomorrow is Friday, which is Thursday, and we want to leave you guys out with some positive vibes. And this one is definitely a surprise. This is actually surviving around the movie Black Adam, specifically its main star, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, as he does give a surprise to a guy who has devoted himself to helping others. Check it out.
Who has devoted his life to helping others. Want to take a look? There he is, Yuri Williams, a real-life hero who founded a non-profit organization to spread love and compassion.
Chilling, having a quiet breakfast right now. As part of that mission, he travels in the country in a superhero costume, visiting children who are sick or disabled. Now we're going to do something for him. Michael and Dwayne Johnson, ready to go get him. Hey, Michael.
Well, you know what, George? Yuri, he's inside the diner. He thinks he's here to do an interview about his charity and the work that he does, which is incredible, but he has no idea. He's live on GMA right now. Dwayne, are you ready to change his life?
I am ready. Well, we are going to change his life. GMA and America, we're going to change this guy's life.
All right, let's go get him.
Let's do it. Here we go.
The same one? No, we're not going to get in the same turnstile. Yuri Williams. Yuri, what's up? How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? Man, how you, man? Hold on, brother. Give me a hug, man.
Come here.
Good to meet you, brother. Good to meet you too, man.
Okay, I know you think you're here for us to talk about your charity work, but that's not
set
really
me
the
up,
reason
man.
that you're here. We're gonna do that, but you know what? We got a little surprise for you, man, because we appreciate everything that you do. And you recognize this guy, right?
Yeah, of course. I love this guy. I love you too.
You got a black on and everything.
Oh, you're ready. Well, you know what? What we're excited about, Yuri, is that we get to highlight you.
Yes.
We got two superheroes together, and you know, how big of a fan are you of Dwayne?
I love this guy, man. Favorite wrestler of all time.
Thank you. I
Of all
appreciate
time.
that.
I love you, bro.
Love is real, man. I love
Love
it.
you.
Hey,
Love is
well,
real.
Michael, I got to tell you, you said two superheroes. The truth is, this is a real superhero, and I got lucky to play one in the movie. So that's it, man. He's the man.
Well, we have a surprise for you.
Okay. I'm already nervous
You
and
ready?
surprised already. Yeah.
You ready for it?
Yeah.
We can't do it here, though.
We're not going to do it here.
No.
Yes. We're going to do it inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're live on TV right now.
Oh, okay.
Wait till some family and say hello.
Wait
Hey,
for your daughter.
everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, Jay.
I love you.
There we go.
I love you.
All right, Jay, we're taking your dad. We're going to go to the studio. We're going to got a little something for you.
All
All right, come on,
All
Robin.
right,
Let's go.
You want to?
No.
All right, Robin. It's like, no. Robin, we're coming for you, Robin. Come on, let's go.
Wow, dude.
Go ahead.
Wow.
All right, you go first.
Dwayne Johnson walking in. Wow, you're speechless too. I would be speechless as well. You're right about that. We have a lot of fun surprises in store for Yuri coming up. They're making their way up here to the studio.
Oh, what a fun morning it is. Dwayne Johnson, he just surprised, yes, a real-life superhero. To Yuri, how are you feeling, man? I'm pretty sure this was not what you were expecting when you came in this morning.
You guys got me this morning, man. I wasn't expecting. I was coming to look for you actually tonight for the premiere, but and you show up. That's ridiculous.
I came to you.
Yeah. God is good. God is good.
God is good.
And you know what? We brought you here because we wanted to let everybody know about all the incredible work that you do, all the joy and all the hope that you bring to people through tough times. So we want you guys to take a look. How you doing?
Yeah.
Behind this superhero costume is a superhero himself.
Good morning. Can I come in?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the things that Yuri is doing that a lot of these kids are going to remember for life.
He's literally the first person to put a smile on AJ's face.
Yuri Williams is changing the life of children around the country, one door knock at a time.
So ask me, you want to come in? Come in. I just love the fact that there's people like Yuri out in the world who really care about kids like Levi. Even as caregivers and parents of children with special needs, we do feel isolated.
Digging himself out of a deep depression following his mother's passing in 2009.
Today would have been my mom's 77th birthday, so I'm just giving back to her.
Yuri took to Instagram asking for donations to get into costume, launching his nonprofit, A Future Superhero and Friends, in 2018. His goal, to bring smiles to children with health challenges, including those fighting life-threatening conditions. Dressing in superhero costumes, including Spider-Man, Deadpool, and The Mandalorian, Yuri has visited all 50 states 3 times.
This is your reporter, Santa Lauren, reporting to you from state number 49, Alaska. My toenails are colored in a polar bear right now.
Gifting art kits, backpacks, toys,
Who's that?
Baby Yoda.
and over 100 baby Yodas.
You give a kiss?
When we opened up that door, that great big man standing there with his Mandalorian. I know, right? The kids were just ecstatic, especially these little guys. Super, super excited.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Thank you.
AJ was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 2. Thank God he beat the infection. He's cancer-free now. He's definitely a miracle baby. And so with all that stuff that happened with AJ, he came around Christmas and surprised him with gifts that he wanted. I will never forget that day.
Making sure these families who are facing tough battles
Say hi.
never feel alone.
Yuri, thank you so much.
We love you. I really appreciate everything you do for me and my sons.
Thank you, Yuri.
I mean, so Yuri, you have tears in your eyes, understandably. I'm sure
Sweat.
a lot of people, it's just a little sweat, a little eye sweat. Let's put it, a little eye sweat.
That's a lot of sweat that just came out of your eyes just now.
But how does it feel to hear how much people really appreciate you and all the work that you do?
It's just like a superhero power energy that I feel from them. You know, me going into these homes, you know, knowing that this child might not be able to see Christmas. So that minute or a couple of minutes that I'm there, I just want to make a special moment for them.
And Dwayne, you're starring as Black Adam. You're a superhero. But how does it feel to sit next to Yuri and see what he's doing out there as a real life superhero?
Thank you for saying it like that. You know, I get lucky, you know, to play Black Adam, but you are a real superhero, man. And I got to tell you, we've never met until right now, but I'm really so proud of you, brother, and the great work that you do, because I always like to say, and I know Michael agrees with this kind of stuff that you're doing, that's the best part of fame. And it's the best part of having influence, is to make people feel good. And that's a special thing, how you make these kids feel. So keep up that great work.
Thank you. Thank you.
And, you know, we came over to the diner. We brought you over here, a lot of surprises, but we're not done with the surprises, because we know you dress up in costume to surprise these kids and bring them joy. And Dwayne, you're a man of many surprises.
Listen, I love surprising. I love surprising people. So Yuri, I got you Black Adam here, brother.
They're gonna match with my socks.
Yeah, they're gonna match with the Black Adam socks.
You got a Black Adam socks.
I got you those special Project Rock Black Adam. It's all Black Adam gear, and of course, with the Black Adam headphones, we got the Black Adam costume. Of course, brother. Thank you.
So what do you think the kids are going to think when they see you in your Black Adam costume?
I'm gonna have to borrow those guns for it. Mine's not that big, man.
There's muscle padding in that suit.
Okay.
Can I get one of those?
You can. You don't need one.
You don't need one.
I need one of those.
You don't need one.
And earlier you talked about, I didn't know I was going to meet you. I was thinking about going over to the premiere, hopefully get a chance to see you. So you still want to go to the premiere?
Yes.
Would you like to go as what?
As a special guest, I think. How about that tonight? So what I would love to do, Yuri, is personally invite you and your guests. Maybe it's your daughter Jaden or whoever it is. I want you to come to the premiere. Tonight's premiere for Black Adam is the biggest premiere of my life, of my career. I'd be honored to have you join me, man. There you go, brother.
Thank you, brother. I'm there.
You're there. All right.
And the other incredible thing is that you take these families and these kids who can't to the theaters to watch these superhero movies, which are very empowering, by the way, and definitely love that you do that. But we want to help you with that as well. Dwayne, take it away.
We do. What we want to do here, Yuri, is in Long Beach, where you're at, we're going to rent out the biggest, most amazing, most immersive theater. And I want you to invite all your families, all your friends, whoever you want, on us to watch Black Adam and enjoy the movie. You're welcome.
Yuri, I got to say, man, this has been just a delight to meet you. I mean, the eye sweat is amazing. I mean, but you really, you inspire. It's not just people at home, but people like us that we meet you. It really does inspire us to do more and be better. And I don't know if you meant it just for the kids, but you're helping a lot of adults too, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. You are my role models, coming up, and kids look up to you guys, and I just want to be able to get that torch and do the same thing you guys did.
Well, you're holding the torch and you're passing along well, my friend. Thank you. Oh, everybody give it a little louder for Yuri Williams, everybody. That's right.
That's cool. There ain't, like I said, there are heroes among us, and that man is definitely it. But I just like to see people. I just like to see people who really do good work, who really just don't do anything for accolades. They don't do it for the gram. They don't do it for clout. They literally do it to help others. That's a superhero, in my opinion. I know I sounded corny as hell, but hell, I believe in it. I still like to watch magic shows. So what about it? That being said, guys, that's going to do it for this podcast. I do thank you all for watching, for liking, for sharing, for letting people know this is live. I certainly appreciate that. Before I do get out of here, I got to do some shameless plugging as usual. Shout out to my buddy Vaughn at Big BZA Dot. You can definitely find him, Big BZA Dot, on all socials. They're on Facebook. You can also find him on TikTok with his Big Busy Think. And of course, he is back to his beats. And trust me, they are chef's kiss. I can't see it because you see it now. But anyway, check him out, BigBZA Dot and all socials. As for yours truly, guys, I can be found on all socials at BlackBox447. And I do mean everywhere. Facebook, Instagram. I almost said Tinder. No, not Tinder. Not Tinder. I'm engaged, not Tinder. But Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, definitely follow me everywhere, guys. I usually post review on everything that I watch and also do some gym stuff because I do a couple push-ups. At the same time, guys, I am a little bit corny when I say this. I feel no shame in saying this. I do believe that we do need to start being more decent to each other, be a little bit more kinder, especially the brothers. If you see another brother you don't know, hey, how you doing? What's up? Head nod, something. I am so tired. I mean, I think we've been so cooped up this past pandemic that we'd be happy to see each other, but we do need to do that. Also, check up on your people, whether they be your friends or family. Check on them and make sure they're doing. If you got time, all the technology in the world, check up on them because you might do a lot more by just saying hi or hello or let them know that you're thinking about them. You may do a lot more for them. You actually may save a life in the process because we are all fighting a battle nobody knows about. But we are stronger together. We always are. That also being said, guys, the ticker at the bottom, let me make that just a wee bit bigger for you guys. If you copy and paste that into your browser, it'll take you to our link tree that has the YouTube and Facebook groups for all of my podcasts, How the Frack Got Here, Get Bit, and of course, the Offense Podcast. Like, share, and subscribe to everything, guys. I try to keep a weekly content of shows coming through. So like I said, if you like what we did tonight, please let me know. If you didn't like it, still want to know your opinions on everything that we talked about. And again, guys, with us still being a pandemic, if you are going to be in the area where there's a lot of foot traffic, please, oh please, wear a mask, protect yourself. If you feel the least bit sick, stay home because that is the only way we're going to get past this pandemic. Because we definitely need to take better care of ourselves, not just physically, but mentally as well. That being said, guys, last thing I say about How the Frack Got Here, it's all about staying informed. We are not trying to reinvent the wheel. We are giving you all the information allowing you to make up your own mind, provide a logical perspective that goes along with it. We do better as a society once we're informed. We're progressive. We move forward. We try to right the wrongs of our past by making decisions now that we should have done back then, like electing our first Black woman to the Supreme Court, electing our first Black woman to the Federal Board of Governors, electing our first Black 4-star military general into the armed services. All great things. When we don't learn from history, we are doomed to repeat it. That's why we keep asking ourselves, why does everything go by a paycheck? Why is it the same? Why is it a different game of politicians, but still the same old game in Congress? And most importantly, how the Frack got here. Guys, take care of yourselves and each other. We'll all get through this and see you next time. Peace.